Okay, Peter, back to you.
Okay, well, I think we should allow our guest speaker to basically start her presentation. And thank you for coming along tonight. And we look forward to hearing from you. Now, I am hearing you. I've just got my earpiece in. I may disappear away from the computer for a couple of minutes at a time, but I can still hear everything. Okay.
No worries. The way that I would like to do this is quite sort of interactive, if I can anyway, rather than me just talking at you for 10, 15 minutes or whatever. It might be more pleasant for all involved if we just have a bit of a chat about firstly what the organisation that I work for does, and then secondly what we're really desperately in need of some help to do at the moment. So to get a feel for it, there's quite a few people here who weren't here last time I spoke. Hey, so it might help if I do a bit of a recap of what UN Youth does. So the organisation that I work for is called United Nations Youth Queensland. There's one of us in every state, so together we're actually one of the largest youth-led organisations in the country. So what that means is we're actually run entirely by people under 25, which is really, really cool. There's no sort of real grown-ups behind the scenes pulling the strings or telling us what to do, which is really fun in a way and really scary in other ways because, we're sort of, the buck stops with us. We're entirely responsible for everything that happens. So it's lots of fun. So the Queensland division of UN Youth is really going ahead at the moment. Basically what our organisation does is we aim to educate and empower high school age students. And we like to do that by educating them on what's going on in the world currently. So at school, you learn a lot about, modern history and things that happened in the past. And these things are really, really important for context and for learning lessons and those kinds of things. But there's nothing really at school that addresses what's happening now and engages students with current international relations and those kinds of things. So we kind of aim to address that gap in the curriculum by introducing competitions, conferences, we visit schools and run workshops and those kinds of things, all centered around what's happening in the world right now. So we try and engage high school age students with issues like refugee policy and equal rights, human rights, and what else? Basically anything you can think of that's topical at the moment. We ran an entire day forum on equality for the LGBTQIA * community. I had to learn that acronym for the day. It was a task. And those types of things. So yeah, our aim is really to engage young people. And as well as that, and I guess through that engagement, to empower them and help them to realize that they do have a voice and that there are ways that they can make a difference. And through that, we hope to inspire sort of leadership and those kinds of qualities as well. So that's kind of the fundamental underlying principle of what we try to achieve. In the Queensland division of UN Youth, there's obviously quite a large regional part of Queensland, which, I mean, as there are for many Australian states, but Queensland and Western Australia in particular. So we run quite a lot of regional programs, and we're really, really passionate about providing these opportunities to students in places where you don't often get these kinds of opportunities. So I know as a high school student on the Gold Coast, I got to do things like debating and public speaking and, be in choirs and Eisteddfods and leadership programs and forums and Lions Youth of the Year and all of these, Rotary Mooner and all of these amazing opportunities came to me by way of the fact that, they were local. What we like to do is try and bring those opportunities to the regional centres and other regional places in Queensland. And we do that in two different ways. So the first is that we run 3 conferences every year in the Northern Queensland regional centres. So we run one in Mackay, one in Townsville and one in Cairns. And the aim of those conferences, they go for 2 days, is to have speakers panels. We have discussion forums, and we actually do a model United Nations debate at those conferences as well. So similar to Moona on the second day of those conferences. So those conferences have a theme each year. and that theme aims to address something that's topical at the time, as well as something that the people who are running those conferences are passionate about. The tricky thing is that we don't really have much of a facilitator base going on in Northern Queensland. We have a few volunteers based in Townsville, and that's about it. The rest of our volunteers are local. So what that means is, in order to run those conferences, we have to fly facilitators from Brisbane mostly. Most UN Youth volunteers are based in Brisbane. We have to fly them to those regional centres. We have to find a place for them to stay. We have to feed them for a couple of days. We pay for some of their food, as well as the costs of running the conference. So venues, catering, and printing and workshop materials and all of those kinds of things. So there's a lot of expenses involved with our regional conferences. We are able to charge a registration fee for students who attend those conferences, so that does help, but it still doesn't allow us to break even on those conferences. So we do need a large amount of support to keep those conferences running. What's really cool is that they've been running for about 8 or 9 years now, and we've just sort of managed to scrape through in the past, which has been really, really cool. But what's tricky is our attendance at those conferences is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and therefore sort of the time that our volunteers need to dedicate is getting bigger. They need to be up there for longer before the conference and those kinds of things. So it's becoming a bigger and bigger sort of fish to deal with. So that's really exciting, but we need some more support. The other way that we try to engage with regional areas in Queensland, which I think is even cooler, is we actually run road trips where our volunteers all pile into one car and they travel out to somewhere in regional Queensland, and they hit schools along the way and on the way back. And basically they just visit a different school each day and run a bunch of our workshops or content. We try to run some more basic content for the students who wouldn't have been exposed to our programs before. So we do workshops on advocacy and teach young people how they can, if they're passionate about something, they can run their own campaign about it, or they can get the word out there somehow, as well as, some of our other content on refugee policy and Indigenous rights and all kinds of things. So we travel out to places like Chinchilla, Kingaroy, Roma, a few other places in that sort of Western Queensland, and we've done that once to twice a year in the past, and that's been really successful, and that's been running for a few years. What we tried to do last year was we tried to run conferences similar to the regional conferences that we run in Northern Queensland. We tried to run some in Rockhampton and Lismore, and basically those conferences didn't get off the ground, which was a shame, but essentially we were trying to break into a new area, into places where they don't know what UN Youth is, and students don't know us and those kinds of things. So what we're going to do this year instead is try and run road trips that go in those directions. So we're actually going to try and run 3 road trips this year. One that goes west, like our other road trip that we've been running for a while, and then one that goes north and hits Rockhampton, Gympie, Bundaberg, and on the way back, the Sunshine Coast, because we actually don't engage with that area as much. And then a southern regional road trip which runs through Lismore, Ballina, Casino, Mullumbimby, Byron Bay, and all of those areas. And we just feel that the road trips are a much better way and a much more successful way of engaging with more students, because we come into their schools and it's during school time, as opposed to asking students to come out on their weekend to a conference. The tricky thing about road trips though is that we don't charge the schools that we go to. And the reason for that is we feel that, as an organisation, we need to be passionate about having this vision where we provide these opportunities to regional places and regional schools, and those schools often don't have the funds allocated for these kinds of programs. So we like to, and we really need to be able to run these programs free of charge to the schools. But unfortunately, what that means is we have no income from those projects. So it's a scary thing going in and saying we're going to run these programs. Each road trip costs us about $1,500 to $2,000 when we take into account fuel, accommodation, and some food again for our facilitators. So we're really, really passionate about bringing these programs to areas in Queensland where they don't always have these opportunities. And we're just looking for support at the moment to help us And obviously every little bit that we can get counts. And we're just so appreciative of the support that we have had in the past for our programs. It's been absolutely incredible. We run a lot of local programs too, and the E-Club actually helped us out with our public speaking competition at the end of last year, which was incredible. We still couldn't run our local programs without that support. So it's been absolutely fantastic. But yes, we just redid our figures from last year, and I guess realised how much our regional programs really do cost us. And it would be such a shame for those programs to not be able to go ahead now that we're in, an administrative place and a place with our volunteers to really be able to expand those programs. And the funds are really the only thing in our way. So, yeah, we're just looking for ways that we can address the cost of these conferences, whether that be through reducing their cost or gaining forms of sponsorship. So that's where we're at the moment. We're looking at running those 3 regional conferences in the regional centres throughout February and March. So those are coming up really, really soon. And then our road trips will be a little bit later in the year. So the Northern and Southern will take place in late April. And then our Western one that we normally do in July. So it'll be really exciting. Did anyone have any questions on or
I have so many questions.
Sorry?
I have so many questions. So first one is, obviously you guys have reached an agreement with the New South Wales branch that you're going to do Northern New South Wales. Yeah, cool. It makes sense, I guess, because it's easier for you guys to get to than it is from Sydney.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. So we have all the way down to, I think it's just south of Lismore, I believe. Yeah.
Cool. Also, is there any, I guess, like government level funding for what you guys do? Like you can get education grants and those types of things?
Yeah, I wish I knew more about why this is the case, but my understanding and the institutional knowledge that I've inherited is that it's never been a thing that we've been able to obtain for whatever reason. I should look into why that is the case, but yeah, it's never been something that we've been able to get our hands on for whatever reason. I'm not sure, but yeah, we need to look into that more. But I know that it hasn't been possible in the past for whatever reason. We've relied solely on registration fees for our events and sponsorship.
Cool. And so is it the case where like once you turn 25 you're out, you can't do it anymore?
Yeah, that's right. So it's actually a condition of membership that you are 25 years of age or under. So it's actually once you turn 26, you age out of the association. You can no longer be a member. It's kind of brutal sometimes, but also most people do get involved as they finish school. Most of our volunteer base are former students who were beneficiaries of our organisation. And therefore, most people do move on before they get to that age. Yeah. But it's really cool.
You and I?
Sorry, what was that?
I said Ingrid and I are just a little bit too old then.
Only
Go on.
by this much.
This much. Okay, I think that's all my questions now. Thank you.
Awesome.
Who set the organisation up, Janie-Marie?
Sorry, what's that?
Who set the organisation up?
It actually started out in like the late 80s to early 90s as the youth affiliate to the United Nations Association of Australia. So they sort of decided to create a youth arm of their organisation. And then it sort of separated into the divisions, and now each division has actually incorporated into its own association, but as a division of UN Youth Australia. So the other thing that's become really tricky for us lately is that UN Youth Australia has their own executive, and they run their own international programs. So they run programs like they send 20 students to New Zealand every year on a tour to learn about their Indigenous culture and lots of exciting things over there. Or we run an event called Pacific Project, where we go over and do charity work overseas, and lots of different programs like that. And obviously those programs are becoming more and more expensive. And the way that the national arm of UN Youth gets a lot of their funding is we pay levies, we pay divisional levies to UN Youth Australia, and those have skyrocketed over the last few years because of how much their programs have expanded. So the administrative costs of running our division have just absolutely gone through the roof in the last few years too. So I think that's why we've suddenly stepped back and gone, oh my goodness, our regional programs cost so much money. So that's basically brief little history of UN Youth.
That's nice. You must have a lot of fun when you are running a program on a current topic and find that there's a wide range of views because it covers the entire political spectrum. How do you handle that?
Absolutely. We train all of our facilitators quite extensively to be able to handle and respect different opinions. And not only that, we encourage the students to do the same. It's quite fascinating. I mean, obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but by the nature of our organisation, we tend to attract quite progressive young people. And therefore our volunteers tend to be, you know, very, very socially liberal. And so sometimes we turn up to a school and you know, we run what we call a spectrum debate, which is where we put a statement to the students and we ask them to sort of vote with their feet. We ask them to stand in the room with this end being yes and this end being no as to what they believe. So, you know, it might be like every member of the LGBTQIA community has the right to marriage equality. And, you know, yes, no, and students will stand all along that spectrum. And it's incredible to watch our volunteers handle that in the most sort of professional way, not because you know, and that's not fascinating because we believe other people's opinions on that are wrong, but they're just so different to their own. And it's really incredible to watch the volunteers and the students engage with that debate respectfully and intelligently, quite frankly. And it's the same with things like refugee policy and all sorts of other quite sensitive issues. It's really amazing how young people can handle those situations and speak about it with intelligence and without attacking each other. It's really rewarding.
Well, that's amazing. That's amazing, and congratulations. That's fantastic.
Definitely.
Yeah. It's also a great opportunity for young volunteers to sort of gain experience. Like I'm studying to be a high school teacher, and the experience that I've had with UN Youth has been absolutely incredible. So it's
So you're drawing on members who have been active in some sort of Rotary program in school, and they're just progressively putting up their hand as they get to university. Is that right?
Yeah, so a lot of our students have participated in our programs as a student. A lot of our volunteers have participated as a student. A lot haven't though, and just find us through university and word of mouth, and we do a lot of marketing on Facebook and those kinds of things. So a lot of people, our current outreach director who's in charge of running all our regional programs, he never did our programs in high school, but is incredibly passionate about what we do. So a lot of people didn't engage that much. I only actually did one event as a student, whereas we have a lot of students who are sort of veteran return, you know, we call them UN Youth Hacks. They do all of our stuff 50 times a year, and it's fantastic to see. And then they obviously almost always become volunteers. But yeah, that is where we get the most of our volunteers from. Yeah. Does anyone have any other questions?
I do. I'm pretty sure you have a ways to go before you turn 25, but you're probably thinking about what's next. So what is next for you?
Funny you should ask that, actually. I'm actually only 21, yes. You're quite accurate, although it worries me that I sound and look that young. My life mission since I was 12 has basically been to look older, so failed again. But so no, I currently work as a teacher aide in the learning support department of a high school, and I'm studying to be a high school teacher. So that's a really incredible job, and I also help run the debating association that exists on the Gold Coast here. So there's plenty of other stuff going on in my life, and to that end, I've actually been the president of UN Youth for a bit over a year now. And prior to that, I was the operations director, and prior to that, I was the deputy communications director. So I've been involved for a very long time, and I'm actually gearing up to phase out in a couple of months' time. just because it's, it's been incredible and it's a wonderful thing to be involved with. But it is incredibly demanding. It's a very, very, very active volunteer role. You think, I know that you all know, being involved with the Rotary Club, how crazy it can be. But I probably would argue, perhaps controversially, that young people can be even, so over-enthusiastic and so motivated and keen to make things happen, that we have so much going on at any one time, that being the president has been an absolutely incredible but very, very busy role. So, I've been doing it for a long time now, and I think it's time to hand over to someone else. So I'm planning on stepping down at the end of March this year. And I will focus just on, the rest of my study and becoming a teacher, and the incredible rewards that I get from working in a learning support department. That's really cool too. So, yeah.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, Janie-Marie, I just wanted to say that one of our members in Tasmania, Wendy, she suggested on Facebook that maybe the E-Club could donate some of their frequent flyer points to help you get your team up to these regional areas. But you're now saying that you're doing a road trip. I don't know how some of the frequent flyer points work, but do they work with accommodation and stuff like that?
I don't know. I don't know how they work either, but even just the frequent flyer points would be absolutely amazing. I mean, flights are obviously the biggest aspect of the cost of our regional conferences. We don't usually require accommodation for the regional conferences. We usually manage to rope someone in who lives up there to let us use their house. So that kind of works. But the road trips definitely are the more expensive of our they're actually our most expensive program. So I'm not sure how they could help with that aspect, but look, anything that saves us money saves us money. So the frequent flyer points would be absolutely incredible. We'd be hugely appreciative. I actually mentioned it to our executive and they were like, they want to donate what? It was awesome.
Maybe I can suggest, is it possible that you liaise with the Rotary clubs in the areas that you're road tripping to look for home hosting for the guys on the trip or the girls on the trip?
Great idea. I didn't think of that. That's fantastic.
Because accommodation is probably one of your biggest expenses, I guess, aside from petrol. So,
totally.
And Rotarians live all over the country, so I'm sure they'd be more than happy to put you up for a night or two as you're coming through. Maybe we can arrange to talk to whoever to get the contact of the various clubs and sort of approach them on your behalf or whatever. So.
Yeah, that's a fantastic idea. That never occurred to me. And obviously, accommodation is the biggest cost that we incur with those regional with those regional road trips, rather. So
and the chances are they'll feed you as well. So
yeah,
our volunteers would be so keen for that. I don't know if I should talk about like the kind of diet that they adhere to when they go on a road trip, but I'm sure it's.
I can imagine.
I'm sure it's not very nutritious.
And I did notice that Kathy was trying to get on before, and Kathy is one of our members. She's up at Rockhampton. So, and you mentioned Rockhampton. So, and she's also a school teacher. So, so that'd work in really well, but looks like she's had a bit of internet problems tonight. But we can certainly put you into contact with her. Now, do you go up to Bowen as well, or is that a bit too far?
Where's Bowen?
Bowen's just past Rocky.
Yes.
Just past Rocky, is it? Okay.
Sorry, what's that?
It's just past Rocky, is it, Angela?
Yeah, yep.
It's where they grow the mangoes.
Yeah, before Townsville.
Okay.
And I just had a phone call from Heather, and she said there's cluster groups, and you could probably get some Rotary clubs to put in $100 each or something like that. It's a matter of organising them, that's all.
Oh.
Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, Heather's very good like that. So she's very good at organising and thinking outside the box. So
Heather's listening to all our conversation, by the way, that phone there, but they can't get their audio to work. They can't say anything, but they're listening to us. They can hear everything we're saying.
Heather, you're great.
Heather and Ian, try speaking now. See if we can hear you.
Oh yes.
Hello?
Do we have them?
Oh,
We're unmuted. Can you talk?
No, it doesn't look like.
Not looking good.
No.
No.
Okay. Yeah, if we could just find a way for me to contact all these incredible people with these fabulous ideas, that would be absolutely amazing. Anything that can remotely contribute to helping us would be fantastic.
Are you doing Muna again this week, Jenny?
I am.
We can hear Ian.
We can hear him.
We can hear you, Ian.
We can hear us. Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yay. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, a lot of good conversation there. Heather's suggestion was maybe we can sell it to our cluster group of half a dozen clubs and see if we can get them to put in a little bit each. But we need to sell it to them, of course.
Yep, of course. Janie-Marie's good.
So maybe guest speaker role to go around those clubs and talk to them.
That would be incredible. How do I do that? How do I make that happen?
Like now, please.
Yeah. Obviously, somebody's got your phone number. If we can. Sorry, have you talk?
If they text it to you. Hi. If they text the phone number to your phone, then we can do it. Talk to them tomorrow.
Okay, we can do that. Just
Okay,
put it in the chat box, Janie-Marie, and we'll pass it on.
I'm on it.
Okay.
Done. Thank you so much, you guys. That's incredible. Like I said, just, you know, every bit of support we can get is great. We're just so passionate about yeah, what we do, and we have so much fun when we're doing it. So it's a great combination of things, really.
And look, sorry. You can,
no, you're right.
I'm just going to say, we will ask for something in return, and it would be to look out for a YEP student in the outback areas that you go to. Now, it could be a student that is disadvantaged in some way and might not be able to afford the fees to go overseas, but there's a special trust fund that is set up to help students like that. And we would love to send somebody that just would love to go overseas for a year but didn't feel that they would be able to do it. So
absolutely. I love that that's the thing you ask for in return. Absolutely incredible. We'd be more than happy to do that, even if you weren't helping us out. And we do come across a number of students who would fulfill that criteria, I'm sure. So no, that is definitely a thing we can set up. Just let us know when, you know, what kind of, I don't know, are there age restrictions, or when do you need the student by, or
we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
I'll send you an email.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
No,
that would be fantastic.
Also, Kay, I'm trying to talk Janie-Marie into going to Ryla next year. I think she would be awesome. So
you got to do that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Janie-Marie.
Don't think there's any talking into it.
No.
I'm so all over it. I just, unfortunately, my job as a teacher aide, my contract always starts the week of Ryla. But that may or may not be a thing next year. So I'll work on that.
Okay.
Sure.
Good girl. Fingers crossed.
Definitely. Thank you so much for chatting with me. It's yeah, incredible just to have people who think that what you do is cool.
Look, it's fantastic having you along. It really is, and we appreciate you taking the time this evening.
No worries at all. Thank you so much for giving me your time. It's yeah, we really appreciate it. When I go and tell my incredibly competent and active and dedicated executive members, they're going to be thrilled.